When I was scrolling through best cheap gaming laptops, I kept hitting the same snag. A lot of the low price options look good on paper, but once you fire them up you're left with stuttering frames, a fan that sounds like a construction site, and a screen that can't keep up with the colors you're trying to enjoy. That regret feeling thinking you've saved money only to end up with a machine that can't actually deliver the gaming experience you wanted keeps me wary of every deal that seems too good to be true. So when the MSI Prestige 16 Flip with its AI-enhanced Intel Ultra 7355 and a 2.8K OLED panel showed up, I wondered if this was the kind of smarter buy that finally bridges the gap between portable convenience and true gaming performance. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the category itself, high-performance 2-in-1 laptops aimed at gamers and content creators, has always been a compromise zone. You either get a bulky desktop replacement with an over-engineered cooling system, or you accept a thinner chassis that throttles under sustained loads. The Prestige 16 tries to sit in the middle, promising the sleek, convertible design of a premium notebook while still packing an Intel Arc GPU and up to 32 GB of LPDDR5X memory. The real question is whether those promises hold up when you actually sit down for a 3-hour gaming marathon or a long editing session. Let's talk about the display first, because that's where this machine really shines. The 16-inch 2.8K OLED panel delivers deep blacks and vibrant colors that make any recent game look cinematic. I tested it with a couple of titles **Cyberpunk 2077* on medium settings and Valorant on high, and the contrast ratio was noticeably better than many traditional IPS screens in the same price bracket. The touch capability adds a nice twist for designers who want to sketch directly on the screen, and the color accuracy is good enough that you could use it for photo work without needing a calibration monitor right away. However, the OLED brilliance does come with a practical trade-off. The battery drain is faster than on a typical matte LCD. With the 70Wh battery that ships inside, I got roughly 3.5 hours of mixed use before the charge dipped below 20%. If you're planning long flights or coffee shop sessions where you can't plug in, that's something to keep in mind. Performance under load is where the AI-powered claim gets interesting. MSI's AI engine is supposed to balance CPU and GPU usage on the fly, nudging the Intel Arc graphics toward the sweet spot for each game. In practice, the laptop handled Elden Ring at 1080p with medium-high settings, staying above 55 frames per second for most of the session. The fan sped up, of course, but it never reached that whirring scream you hear on many thin gaming laptops. Instead, it kept a low, steady hum that was barely noticeable unless you were right next to the machine. That said, during a 20-minute stress test with Assassin's Creed Valhalla on max settings, the CPU hit 95°C and the GPU hovered around 90°C, causing a small dip in frame rates. The cooling system is competent, but it's not built to sustain the most demanding titles at ultra settings for hours on end without a little throttling. If you're a competitive gamer who needs every frame, you might still prefer a dedicated desktop rig or a heavier laptop with a more aggressive vapor chamber design. Keyboard feel is another practical aspect that can make or break a gaming laptop. The Prestige 16 uses a thin, perky backlit membrane that feels more like a modern ultrabook than a traditional mechanical-style gaming keyboard. The key travel is short, and the actuation point is fairly light, which works well for fast-paced shooters where you're tapping keys repeatedly. However, after a marathon session, some users report that the keys can feel a bit mushy compared to the crisp click you get on a full-stroke mechanical keyboard. If tactile feedback is a non-negotiable for you, you might want to invest in an external mechanical keyboard for the best experience. Portability is where the Prestige 16 really earns its flip title. Weighing in at around 2.2 kilograms, about 4.9 pounds, and measuring just 18 millimeters thick, it slips into a standard backpack with ease. The 360-degree hinge lets you transition from a laptop to a tablet in seconds, which is handy if you want to sketch, annotate PDFs, or simply watch a movie in tablet mode. The trade-off is that the slimmer chassis limits the size of the cooling solution, which is why you'll see the temperature ceiling mentioned earlier. For users who need a device that can travel, attend meetings, and still run a few games, this is a compelling balance. Now, who should actually consider buying this machine? If you're a content creator who needs a high-quality display for color-critical work, a decent gaming performance for occasional titles, and you value the flexibility of a convertible form factor, the Prestige 16 Flip makes a lot of sense. The 32GB of LPDDR5X memory and 1TB SSD give you plenty of headroom for video editing, 3D rendering, and storing large game libraries. The Wi-Fi 7 and Bluetooth 6.